All right, everybody, welcome back. We're diving deep today. And
Diving deep is right.
yeah, we're tackling conflict, but not running away from it. We're figuring out how to actually use it to make things even better.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. Especially in projects, because let's be honest, who hasn't had a project go a little or a lot sideways because of disagreements?
Oh, I've got stories, believe me.
Don't we all? So our roadmap for this deep dive is 𝗬𝗬𝗁𝗏's Conflict to Collaboration Guide. And it uses a pretty incredible example, the James Webb Space Telescope.
JWST, talk about a project with, shall we say, a few bumps in the road.
Billions over budget, years behind schedule, the whole 9 yards.
But ultimately a massive success. I mean, it's out there right now, sending us incredible images from the far reaches of space.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so fascinating. They took conflict, tons of it, and turned it into this amazing achievement.
It all started with recognizing something 𝗬𝗬𝗁𝗏 points out right at the beginning. He says, and this is so important, the greatest challenge in communication is breaking the illusion that everyone is on the same page.
Oof, that hits home, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. How often do we assume everyone's got the same goals, the same understanding, and then, bam, things fall apart?
It happens constantly. And, the JWST is a perfect example of that. You've got brilliant scientists, you've got engineers who can make the impossible possible, and then you've got policymakers trying to keep the whole thing from, well, bankrupting the country.
And each group has their own perspective on what success looks like, right?
Absolutely. For the scientists, it was all about pushing the boundaries of knowledge, exploring the universe in ways we've never dreamed of before. But that kind of ambition, well, it comes with a price tag.
And the policymakers, they're the ones holding the purse strings. They have to answer to taxpayers and justify these huge expenses.
And let's not forget the engineers. They're the ones who actually have to make these crazy ideas work within the laws of physics and, of course, budget.
So how do we avoid those clashes, those assumptions that derail projects?
Well, that's where 𝗬𝗬𝗁𝗏's 5 key takeaways come in. He's giving us a toolkit, really, for turning conflict into collaboration.
Okay, let's unpack that toolkit.
Right.
First up is understanding stakeholder needs. I mean, that seems pretty basic, but it's clearly more than just surface level, right?
Oh, yeah, it's way more than just knowing what people want. You have to dig deeper, understand the why behind the what. Like with the JWST, the scientists, they were driven by discovery. The policymakers by accountability. And the engineers, well, they were driven by the challenge of making it all happen.
So it's about empathy, really, putting yourself in their shoes.
Exactly. And once you understand those motivations, then you can start communicating effectively, which, conveniently, is takeaway number 2. Communicate clearly.
Music to my ears. Because honestly, half the battle is just keeping everyone informed and on the same page.
Right. And this is where tools like Slack or Teams can be absolute game changers. Imagine if the JWST teams had those from the beginning. Constant updates, open channels for questions, shared documents so everyone can see the big picture.
It would save so much time, so much frustration.
And probably a lot of money, too. But of course, even with the best communication, you're going to hit snags. That's just the nature of complex projects.
So what happens when you slam headfirst into a technical hurdle?
Well, takeaway number 3 is be flexible with technical hurdles. And honestly, this one's all about mindset. It's about seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to collaborate and innovate.
Like that giant sun shield on the JWST? I mean, that thing had to be folded up like origami to fit in the rocket and then unfold perfectly in space.
Talk about a technical challenge. And of course, they hit snags during testing, but instead of panicking, they got creative. They broke the problem down into smaller pieces, involved the sponsors in the solution-finding process, and ultimately, they figured it out.
They turned a potential conflict into a moment of collaboration.
Precisely. But all of this hinges on moving even deeper. And that's takeaway number 4, build trust.
The foundation of everything.
Right. But trust doesn't just appear magically. You build it through transparency, through acknowledging mistakes, and by giving credit where it's due. It's about celebrating successes together and fostering a culture of mutual respect.
It makes me think about those budget discussions. If there had been more trust between the scientists, engineers, and policymakers, maybe they could find more creative solutions, more compromises, instead of just defending their own turf.
Absolutely. And that leads us to the final takeaway. Resolve conflicts early. Don't let things fester. Don't sweep disagreements under the rug.
Yeah, address them head on, but how?
By focusing on shared goals. Find that common ground, even if it feels like you're miles apart. And sometimes it might mean bringing in a neutral third party, a mediator, to help facilitate those tough conversations.
So in the case of the JWST, maybe a mediator could have helped them navigate those early budget battles. Or maybe they could have just focused on their shared goal, which was launching this incredible telescope that would change our understanding of the universe.
Exactly. And what I love about this guide is that doesn't just give us these high-level concepts, he gives us actionable steps to actually put them into practice.
Right. He talks about creating a shared vision document, using those collaborative tools like Slack or Teams, and tackling conflicts head-on before they spiral out of control.
And those are just a few examples. It's about proactively building alignment and creating a truly collaborative environment.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to turn it back to you, our listeners. What are your experiences with the illusion of alignment? Where have you seen it derail projects or maybe even relationships?
And more importantly, what can you do, starting today, to shift your perspective? To see conflict not as something to fear, but as a stepping stone to something even better.
Because just like with the James Webb Space Telescope, when we embrace those different perspectives, when we use conflict as a catalyst for innovation, that's when truly amazing things can happen.
It's not just about resolving conflict, it's about transforming it. It's about realizing that by understanding those different perspectives, by understanding those motivations, we can actually achieve outcomes that we never even imagined before. Just like they did with the JWST, we can achieve the extraordinary.
And that is something worth striving for. So keep exploring, keep collaborating, and keep turning those conflicts into breakthroughs. Until next time.
See them? Bye. Bye.